the 16th day of September 2025, a day when faith has done it again.
It's a huge winning margin for Faith Kipyegon. She hits around about 50 metres to go. Her teammates are inspired behind her. Faith Kipyegon powering for the line. It's a win for Faith Kipyegon, 3:52.
4 world titles, 3 Olympic gold medals. Faith Kipyegon cements her legacy as the greatest of all time with a sensational 1,500-meter gold in Tokyo.
We are expecting a huge reduction in the number of students by about 5 to 10%. And we're also expecting a huge reduction in the number of schools.
A shocking audit uncovers fake schools and phantom learners. Ministry officials say student numbers could plummet by 10%. The gavel falls hard. Okwara to face graft charges as court reinstates cases against the cooperative CS.
There is probable cause to order the arrest of the accused and his surrender before this court for trial.
After years of waiting, a warrant of arrest is issued against a British soldier over the death of Agnes Wanjiru in Nanyuki. And on The Explainer tonight, we seek to get some answers on the Social Health Authority, SHIF, and all the funds that are included for universal healthcare. And so tonight on The Explainer, for the first time since she was appointed the CEO of the Social Health Authority, SHA, Dr. Mercy Mwangangi joins us on The Explainer tonight to answer many of these questions. Indeed, also we have Engineer Anthony Lenayara, who is the CEO of the Digital Health Agency. What does it do? What's the relationship between these two organizations? Just what is going on at SHA, and why are there so many questions? All of those questions, your questions tonight on The Explainer, please do send them in at Citizen TV Kenya, at Yvonne Okwara. Please use the hashtag Citizen Explainer. We're looking out for your questions. All of those will endeavor to answer as many of them as we can tonight on The Explainer, which starts right now.
Live from Citizen TV, this is The Explainer with Yvonne Okwara.
Good evening. Faith Njoki Shege is our sign language interpreter tonight. Forgive me, I am excited about Faith Kipyegon tonight. 3-time Olympic champion who led a Kenya 1-2 in the women's 1,500-meter final of the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan. The win is the 31-year-old's 4th consecutive 1,500-meter World Championship title as she gears for battle against friend and rival Beatrice Chebet in the 5,000 meters later on in the week. Emmanuel Ndungu kicks off our bulletin tonight.
Faith Kipyegon powering for the line. It's a win for Faith Kipyegon, 3:52.
Dominance on display in Tokyo. Faith Kipyegon cruised to a 4th consecutive 1,500-meter world title, leading a Kenya 1-2 under the lights. The 3-time Olympic champion was joined by compatriots Nelly Chepchirchir and a new star on the world stage, Dorcas Ewoy.
But for now, 3 3/4 of a lap.
The gun went and Kipyegon took the lead, setting a strong pace to discourage any hopefuls looking to disrupt her plan. She turned up the wick until the bell, where she launched an incredible surge that the field simply couldn't match.
Faith still in the lead here, very strong. She's coming off a very strong performance in 3,000 earlier in the season.
Australia's Jessica Hull clung desperately onto the heels of Kipyegon. Meanwhile, the Kenyan, in control, glanced at the big screen to assess the damage. Cheered on by her team, including Saturday's 10,000-meter champion Beatrice Chebet, Kipyegon pulled away from the field in an almost uncontested win across the line.
3:51.95, but that's going to survive. They were too slow through the first 800. But who knows? Faith Kipyegon, you would never bet against this woman. She won in Paris in the championship record. She's romping away with this women's 1,500 meters. It's a huge winning margin for Faith Kipyegon. She hits around about 50 meters to go. Her teammates are inspired behind her. Major Championships.
The rest raced for second. Iwoy chased down and passed Hull, the Australian, knocking almost 5 seconds off her personal best. Hull claimed Australia's first medal in the event in third, with Chepchirchir finishing a strong but disappointing fourth.
I don't know where to start and finish, but I want to thank God that I've managed to defend my title for the 4th time. And this was my dream, just to, defend my title in the 1500 for the 4th time and just, keep making history.
3 minutes 54 behind Faith
Kipyegon tonight cemented her stature as one of the greatest athletes the sport has ever seen, and looks to repeat her historic 1500 and 5000 metre double she achieved in 2023. Two-time Olympic champion Beatrice Chebet might have something to say about that, though. The two will likely face off in the 5K final on Saturday afternoon.
Her winning margin was enormous, and you know what? I thought Jess Hull was going to get run out of that into 4th.
Kenya sits second in the medal table with 3 golds, 1 silver and 1 bronze. The United States leads with 6 gold and 2 bronze medals, but it's still all to play for at this year's World Championships. Emmanuel Ndungu, Citizen TV.
Desperate for this crown. Batacleti running the race of her life. Sege's going to get the bronze.
Yeah, I think one of the most poignant pictures of that was Beatrice Chebet crying in the stands, just absolutely joyful about Faith winning, and yet they might have to go up against each other. What a lovely day for Kenya here and around the world. Let's now take a look at other stories making headlines on The Explainer tonight. The National Integrity Alliance, a group of anti-corruption and human rights organizations, want cooperatives and MSMEs Development CS Wycliffe Oparanya arrested following a High Court judgment that quashed the Director of Public Prosecution's decision to drop corruption charges against him. In his decision, Justice Benjamin Musyoki stated that the DPP usurped the mandate of the EACC by considering fresh evidence without directing the anti-graft body to conduct further investigations. EACC had recommended prosecution of Oparanya over allegations of conflict of interest, abuse of office, money laundering and corruption involving 56.7 million shillings. Gatete Njoroge reports.
Cooperatives and MSMEs Development Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya is in trouble. A decision by the DPP to stop his prosecution back in July 2024 has been quashed by High Court. Justice Benjamin Musyoki, in his judgment, says the decision by DPP Renson Ingoga to review charges of conflict of interest, abuse of office, money laundering and corruption against Oparanya was irregular and unconstitutional, and therefore null and void. He further declares that the DPP usurped the investigation mandate of EACC by considering fresh evidence without directing the anti-graft body to conduct further investigations. Prior to the judgment, EACC had on July 31st, 2024, in a public statement, rejected the DPP's proposal to withdraw Oparanya's case after his nomination by President Ruto to the cabinet. In their argument, EACC took issue with the DPP's decision to review the 56.7 million case based on a letter from Oparanya's advocates who claimed the cash received by the cabinet secretary from those who had secured contracts when he served as Kakamega governor was not kickbacks but a loan, which he had been sued over failure to pay. The commission said the evidence obtained and availed to the DPP met the threshold. The High Court in its judgment did not invalidate Oparanya's appointment to the cabinet, stating that the process followed was constitutional. Following the court's decision in a matter that was filed by activist Frederick Mula, who challenged Oparanya's appointment on grounds that he had pending corruption charges that were abruptly dropped, the National Integrity Alliance is pushing to have Oparanya arrested and to face charges recommended by EACC. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The family of the late Agnes Wanjiru says it has optimistically but cautiously welcomed the issuance of an arrest warrant against a British national accused of committing murder 13 years ago in Nanyuki, Laikipia County. National Assembly Defence and Foreign Affairs Chair Nelson Koech says the upcoming trial of the Briton on home soil will mark the commencement of the revised defence agreement between Kenya and the United Kingdom, requiring all foreign murder suspects prosecuted in Kenya. Seth Olale with the latest developments on the decade-long Agnes Wanjiru murder puzzle.
There's finally a ray of hope in resolving the 13-year-old Agnes Wanjiru murder that occurred in Nanyuki, Laikipia County. High Court Judge Alexander Muteti issued a warrant of arrest against a British national accused of committing the murder in Nanyuki more than a decade ago.
So there is probable cause to order the arrest of the accused and his surrender before this court for trial.
It shows that now they have started the process of serving us justice.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, appearing on behalf of the Republic, informed the court that the accused has been charged with the offence of murder, allegedly committed on the night of 31st March and 1st April 2012 at Lions Court Lodge in Nanyuki, Laikipia County. But the main suspect has not attended court proceedings, prompting the application for a warrant of arrest to facilitate his extradition to Kenya. The prosecution further told the court that although some of the witnesses are based in the UK, they will be made available during the hearing. In granting the application by the ODPP, Justice Muteti restrained the media from publishing the identity of the accused or any witnesses listed in the bundle of evidence provided, citing the need to safeguard the integrity of the judicial process.
The offence of murder in Kenya is an extraditable offence, and the same satisfies the requirements of dual criminality under Cap 77 of the laws of Kenya. It is so ordered.
It is high time the UK government do justice to the family of the late Agnes Wanjiru by ensuring that there are no roadblocks put into the case of this suspect.
The family of the late Agnes Wanjiru is also demanding compensation for her daughter's well-being.
Her mental health is not okay, and even during the Secretary of State of Defense, he witnessed that because throughout the meeting, she was just crying.
National Assembly Defense and Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Nelson Koech says the expected upcoming trial of the accused Briton in Kenya will mark the start of a new way of doing things.
My committee has recommended that visiting troops, if they commit crime, which include murder, they should be subjected to the laws of the host country.
Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
Imperial Gardens Kikuyu by Username Properties. Just 15 minutes from Kikuyu town, get your 8th acre plot for just 1.249 million shillings. SMS plot to 20321 or call 0725 000 222.
Children who are admitted lose school time because they are in hospital for long periods of time. We can do something about their education together.
Get ready to make a difference in the fight against childhood cancer. Join us on Saturday, 20th September for the 4th edition of the Be Bold, Go Gold Walk by Faraja Cancer Support Trust at Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, Kaldro in Muguga, off the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway. Let's raise awareness and funds around childhood cancer that affects 3,000 Kenyan children annually. To register and for details, call this number. Sign up and come walk for hope against childhood cancer. Be Bold, Go Gold 2025 Walk, an initiative by Faraja Cancer Support Trust, proudly sponsored by Royal Media Services.
The call of the wild, golden savannas stretching endlessly, and moments that feel
Invest in your future with Imperial Gardens Kikuyu by Username Properties. Just 15 minutes from Kikuyu town, get graded roads, perimeter fencing and ready title deeds. Secure your 8th acre plot for just 1.249 million shillings. SMS plot to 20321 or call 0725 000 222.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, SoftCare always stays with you.
New SoftCare Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey.
SoftCare. Protect your leap.
Are you passionate about sustainability and future generations? To create ACT, Africa Champion of Trees Awards, a Kenya Forest Service and Blue Focus Africa initiative, kuna 8 award categories, meaning 34 winners and 1 overall Africa Champion of Trees in Kenya. Have we mentioned the 5 million Kenya shillings cash prize to fund a tree planting initiative of your choice? With a documentary and grand eco prizes, apply from the 1st to the 30th September 2025 via www.actawards.org.
Mimi nasema ugali ya lea haikuwangi complicated. Ukienda kwa duka tu, ukienda kwa supa tu, kwa afya bora ya jamii ungapoa ni lea tu.
Guys, mwezeni wait?
Bei ya lea premium, si complicated. Kupika lea premium, si complicated. Unabai, unapika, unashiba. Lea premium.
Lea Premium Flour, nurturing the world. Available in a store near you.
You're probably wondering how I got here. This was me. Nimeboeka. Then nika buy B Lifetime bundle. My 1 hour kuwa online bila wasi. And my time turn from just kawa ikakuwa lit. Nika go live really nice na TikTok, IG, Snap na nika hang na Memorial. Manzo ukiwa na B Live, time is on your side. Hadi beats zina slap different. Nikaanza kuzitoka, nika trend online, kushuka matu hivi. Mafans wakatokea, tukajiaji. Buy the new B Lifetime bundle. Dial *544#.
Unga nyororo, ugali moto, kitu kwa masonko.
Basi unga ni gani? Niambie ni gani? Unga ni gani? Kama sharaha premium.
Mimi ni Bahati. Walinijua kama mtoto wa mama. Siku hizi wananiita mtoto wa Kafagara. Ni unga nyororo, nyeupe, inanukia na inapatikana kote nchini.
Explore the nature and create from it. The spirit of inventors leads to the inspiration for new technology. By drawing nature's energy, we create the extraction tech Small in size, huge in power. Millions of microcapsules condense the essence of nature. Join us, Clesoft Invent for Life.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on The Explainer tonight. Like we said, we are speaking about UHC and access to SHA and all of the services that are provided by the Social Health Authority. We shall be speaking with both Dr. Mercy Mwangangi, who's the CEO of the Social Health Authority, as well as Engineer Anthony Lenayara, who's the CEO of the Digital Health Agency. But for this quick fire round, we are joined first by Dr. Mwangangi, and we invite your questions. The hashtag is The Explainer at Citizen TV Kenya and at Yvonne Okwara. Any questions you have about this, whether you're a service provider or you're a customer or a client seeking services at a hospital, please do send them in. We'll endeavor to get as many of them answered as possible. Dr. Mwangangi, thank you very much for making time for us tonight.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you.
Let's start with the general perception. Even when we put out the announcement that we were having you tonight,
yes,
many of the questions are about SHA not working. They've gone to the hospital for various reasons, both from service providers and from patients. There seems to be a general perception that SHA isn't working. Is it working, Dr. Mwangangi?
Thank you, Yvonne, for having me. And I was just looking at my phone right now and calculating. I joined SHA on the 3rd of June, and today marks 105 days since I joined SHA as the CEO. This is actually also the first engagement I've had in being able to talk to millions of Kenyans and explain to them what exactly SHA is. You've asked me, is SHA working? And I would say, yes, SHA is working. But I'd want to add on to say that perhaps what we need to do and how we have value in this conversation tonight is in explaining to Kenyans what SHA is. And you'll allow me to share a story. 2 weeks ago, I went to SEK Mbere for church service on a Sunday. And I sat next to the Mother Union president, and they were having a function celebrating mothers at the church. And when I was talking to them, one of the ladies sitting next to me asked me, what is the difference between SHA and SHIF, right? And I know a lot of us have been using a lot of jargon there. We hear people saying SHIF, SHA, SHISHA, even using that comically. And I'm here tonight to explain to Kenyans what exactly SHA is. SHA is an authority, and SHA has 3 funds within it. And that's really important because if you compare and contrast, and I've heard a lot of people saying NHIF was better or NHIF did this, SHA is doing this. One of the pivotal things that government did is to be able to set up 3 funds within one. And we have to ask ourselves, what were they trying to cure? Why set up 3 funds within one? And the first thing is that there was need for us to invest in primary healthcare services for all Kenyans. And I must say, I've been a health economist for 15 years, and I've worked in different administrations in the Kenyan government. And I can tell you, for the first time in Kenya, we actually have an investment in primary healthcare services. And Yvonne, this is why it matters. It matters because 85% of our health needs are catered for at the primary healthcare level. And so if we're going to have a scorecard on whether SHA is working or not, we need to ask ourselves, has SHA made an investment in primary healthcare services? And the answer is yes. And we have the numbers to back it up. I was looking at our data today, and when we look at primary healthcare services, in terms of providers, we have 9,000 facilities. 9,000, Yvonne, providing PHC services to Kenyans. When we look and ask ourselves how many Kenyans have accessed these services, we have 5.5 million Kenyans in 10 months who've walked into a primary healthcare facility and accessed a PHC service. And when we look at our visits and counts that we've reimbursed, we've pushed into the primary healthcare system close to 8 billion. Now, Yvonne, why am I excited about this? I was serving in government 4 years ago, and I do know the budget that was available for primary healthcare services then was 1.9 billion Kenya shillings. And in 2 years, this number has gone up to 9 billion Kenya shillings. And when you unpack this, for the first time, we have Kenyans saying, before, in the NHIF model, I had to be placed to a facility. Now, in the SHA PHC model, I'm able to decide which facility I'll be able to seek services from. We used to have mechanisms where Kenyans would be told, go to that facility there, and yet that Kenyan would be living in Nairobi but they've been capitated to a facility in Meru and told that is where you go and access your service. All that has changed with SHA. And so when we look at primary healthcare services, 8 billion injected into that space, a budget of 13 billion that's available this year.
So this 8 billion is for this financial year, this current financial year?
For this financial, we've been able, so since the inception of SHA in October to date, we've been able to pay out close to 8 billion Kenya shillings. If we look at the new financial year, Parliament has allocated 13 billion Kenya shillings for primary healthcare. Yvonne, it used to be 1.9 billion.
And
it's
how
now
much?
13 billion.
How much has been paid out for this current financial year?
So in the current financial year, we've paid out about 2.9 billion because I think we're only 2 months into the new financial year. So for this quarter, that's 2.9 billion. And you know, Yvonne, one of the criticisms I've heard people say is that, you know, we've become very good at reporting numbers, payouts. But I want you to narrow down and look at the figure of 5 million Kenyans who've walked in to a health center, who've walked into a dispensary, who've walked into a level 4 hospital and accessed care and walked out without paying for that care. And I think the president has pronounced himself several times that Kenyans will be able to walk in and walk out from a level 2, a level 3, a level 4 outpatient facility and receive care. And that's happening. And that's profound. 5 million Kenyans served. So in that regard, I would say SHA is working. Now, when we walk through the Kenyan who's accessed their PHC levels, PHC level of care, received service, but requires more, then in comes what we call the SHIF fund.
Yeah.
And I said today, I really want to go home and sleep well, having demystified to Kenyans what SHA is. It's 3 funds. The first fund takes care of your primary needs. So that's the PHC fund. And right now, like I've told you, you have an allocation of 13 billion. We've paid out 2.9 as of today. And we intend to go back to Parliament in supplementary processes and get at least another extra 7 billion. So by the end of this year, we'd be having 20 billion for PHC. Now, what happens when your cares are not taken, when your needs are not serviced at the primary healthcare level? In comes a secondary level of care. And the design of SHA was very deliberate, very, very deliberate, in that we needed to ensure for the services that Kenyans need the most, which is 85% of our health needs, those can be served at the primary healthcare level, right? And when I've shared with you that 5 billion Kenyans have accessed that, the 2.26 million Kenyans that we keep talking about that have been registered into SHA actually have access to that primary healthcare level. If you're registered and expect that you are because you work for Citizen, then you have free choice of going to a level 2, 3, 4 facility and accessing care, walking in and walking out. So what happens when Yvonne perhaps needs a knee surgery, right? So a knee surgery would not ordinarily be available in a health center or a dispensary. You would have to go to a specialized facility, a secondary care facility. If you have to then go to a secondary care facility, then in kicks in what is known as a contributory fund. Yeah. And for that, you would have to either give us 2.75% of your income if you're in the formal sector and you're employed. And if you don't have a pay slip, then you'd have to go through what we call means testing, which determines your premium. And I know there's a lot of noise on means testing, and I'll be demystifying that shortly.
And we will get to that.
We'll get to that. Yeah. So you then go under means testing process. Your premium is determined. You pay in your contribution into the fund, and then you're able to access services. And one of the things I've been listening to the shows and really doing a lot of social listening to understand what are the pain points that Kenyans are having. And one of the things that is causing a lot of lack of understanding is the thinking that 25 or 26 million Kenyans have registered, yet X amount have paid into SHIF.
All right, so let's understand that. How many registered on the portal? How many have registered with SHA?
I will answer that. But to answer that first, I want you to understand and to allow me to really demystify the authority, because I haven't talked about the third fund. It matters.
Okay.
It matters.
All right.
It matters,
yes.
Yvonne.
Yes, and I'd like us to do that as because
you want me to move quickly?
Many questions.
Many questions. We'll answer all the questions. I have all the night for everyone today. So the third fund is the emergency fund.
Right.
The Constitution says every Kenyan must access emergency services. And so a fund was set up that allows Kenyans to be able to go into the facility and get 24-hour care, and to also get evacuation services. The design of the Social Health Authority is really a game changer for this country. And I want Kenyans to hear me and hear me right. The design, the blueprint is right. What we are working now is on implementing this blueprint and ensuring that it's able to serve us. But the blueprint is right. Now, when you ask me how many Kenyans are registered, as this morning, 26 million Kenyans have been registered, have self-registered, presented themselves and registered into the authority.
All right.
Now, Yvonne, because your next question is one of the myths that Kenyans are suffering on. Kenyans are saying, yes, 26 million Kenyans have registered into SHA. How many are paying into SHA?
Okay.
And that question is important because it means that we need to demystify this whole project in terms of how we've designed it.
So those who are registered at 26 million.
26 million.
Yes. How many are paying? Let's start. In total. 26
million Kenyans are registered. 26 million Kenyans can access PHC services for free.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Understood.
Now, out of the 26 million Kenyans, we have Kenyans in the formal sector and the informal sector. In the informal sector, impressive data, we have 800,000, so 887 Kenyans who are in the formal sector, non-payslip Kenyans who've paid in for SHA. So if I open the system right now and ask myself how many Kenyans do not have payslips and are paying into SHA, we are close to almost 1 million Kenyans.
Okay, and how many?
When we look at the formal sector,
how many is salaried?
4 million.
So that's 4 million?
Yes, 4 million plus 800,000. So that's about 4.8 million Kenyans who are paying into the contributory fund, meaning those 4 million Kenyans are the ones who then have access or eligibility for that fund.
All right, sorry, let's understand. 887,000 non-salaried?
Yes, non-salaried, yes.
And the salaried are how many?
About 4 million.
4 million.
Yes.
We had one of your staff here just yesterday in the morning who talked about 3.3 million in the formal sector who are salaried. Has that number since jumped by...
So I want to explain to you how we do...
600 million over the last 24 hours?
Not a problem, Yvonne. I have the system right here and I'll be able to share with you the figures. So how we do our formal sector contributions is that we have self-declarations from employers. So you, for example, in Citizen, whoever heads your HR department will be able to come in and say, Citizen Media House has 10,000 employees registered, earning these salaries, and therefore 2.75% deductions of these 10,000 employees is equals to X amount. And so the figure keeps changing. And so when we average out our figures, we have about 4 million formal sector contributors coming into SHA.
These are 4 million people with
4 million, yeah, 4 million, let me call it 4 million pay slips. Yes.
How many people are actually salaried in the country based on data from iTax?
So,
because that number would be about 3.3 million.
Very good. So you have, in fact, one of the things that's impressive.
4 million.
Yes. So how we categorize a formal employer in SHA may be a little bit different from how KRA would categorize this, and I'll share this with you. SHA actually has more declarations of Kenyans who are saying, I have this little SME that I'm running, and I have 5 or 10 employees in this SME that I'm servicing.
But those are not salaried.
No, they are. So, for example, if you run a kiosk, right? So you have your kiosk, and you have your employees, and you're paying into SHA, you come in and you self-declare that in this little kiosk or in this little supermarket or hotel of mine, I have 2 cooks, I have 10 waiters, and these employees are the ones who are going to pay according to the pay slips that I'm generating. So SHA actually has more data than KRA when it comes to contributions into the fund.
So this is an improvement from the numbers that were given on the show yesterday morning, which was at 3.3 million. I'm just trying to understand that.
So I know
that's a huge...
No.
That's a huge gap.
I know you're saying that, hey, have 600 people suddenly joined.
Right. From
within 1 month.
No, within 1 day. Because these are figures that were given on Daybreak that was hosted by my colleague here yesterday.
I'm here sitting with our collections.
Okay.
And it's okay. The colleague may have made an error in numbers.
So we go with
we
your
do
figure
have our
of 4
data.
million.
Yes, we do have our data, 4 million people. And Yvonne, you've raised an important point. When you think of industries, right? So look at the hotel industry. If I was to ask you, could you enumerate for me, even from the iTax data or even the KNBS data, what the hotel industry figures look like? SHA actually has numbers because Kenyans are demanding that health service, and these employers have actually declared these people as their employees and are actually paying into the fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 million salaried, 887,000 non-salaried.
Yes.
How much is the contribution, let's say, as of today?
So in our collections to date, and I was just sharing this with the governor of Murang'a, who's going to one of your stations here, that in the lifetime of NHIF, total collections that NHIF ever made actually touched around 45 billion Kenya shillings. To date, SHA has been able to receive close to 8 billion for the primary healthcare fund. We've been able to receive close to 5.9 billion for the emergency chronic illnesses fund. And then we've been able to get collections of close to 54 billion for the SHIF fund. So if you add all that up and look at also the public servant scheme, which recently received 4 billion for, as well as indigents who are covered by government. We have about 500 million and 30 million for orphans and vulnerable groups. Our collections to date almost stand at almost 70 billion.
Okay, let's talk about SHIF. Just how much collected from SHIF?
So SHIF, on average, from October to date, we started averaging around 6.5 B every week collected.
6.5 billion per week.
Yes, and per month, so it's from October.
Yeah.
So in October, our collections are a little bit low, and they've been tiering up to about 6.5, 6.7, 6.8, 6.9
so now,
billion.
If we
so
say
right
we're
now,
at 11 months?
At 11 months,
yeah.
Close to almost 50 billion plus collected. Yes, and I'll confirm that for you right now. Yes.
And what are the claims?
So when we look at our claims, one, I'll start again with the primary healthcare fund.
No, let's just focus on SHIF for a minute. We will talk about the other funds. I'd like us to focus on one by one.
Okay.
So SHIF, you said an average of 6.5 billion
An average of 6.5 billion collected a month.
Okay.
And as I share with you the number of claims, it's important to be very clear on this, because I've seen a lot of your panelists come in here and say X amount of claims submitted. A claim submitted to SHA is not equals to a claim approved. Now, if I look at the claims submitted for the month of August, no, I'm going to get into it. No, I'm coming there. By the way, Yvonne, full disclosure tonight, we will share with you everything that you need.
So
in terms of our claims
that have been made,
right?
Yeah.
So in terms of claims that have been set into the system so far, they come to around 80 billion.
Okay.
In terms of claims, 82 billion. Those claims are claims submitted.
Okay.
Now, for SHA to actually pay out a claim, it has to go through verification. Some of those claims, Yvonne, will be approved for payment. Some of those claims will be rejected with various reasons. Some of those claims will be sent back to the provider for additional documentation for us to be able to make a decision. So when we look at our servicing of providers, of all the claims that have been lodged to date, our contracts actually state that our providers should be serviced within a 90-day period. Where are we today? We're close to almost, so let me categorize this into ownership. For public facilities, these are county providers, we've settled their claims to a rate of 69 to 70%. When we come to FBO facilities, they range between 65 to 69%. When we come to private facilities, they range on the lower band of 65%. And if we look at the fulfillment of our contracts, which should be fulfilled within 90 days, we would be able to say that most of our facilities are within that 90 days, and a few are above those 90 days. Those that are above 90 days, Yvonne, may be having claims that are rejected, may be having claims that have missing documents, may be having claims that need to undergo surveillance. And it's important for all of us to understand, claims submitted is not equals to claims paid outright.
So let's talk about some of those claims that have been rejected. How much, in terms of claims, has been rejected by SHA?
So to date, we have rejected 10.7 billion.
10.7, okay.
And
could you inform us the status of the investigations now? Because we understand those are
we'll get into that. Oh, yes, we'll get into that.
So
not a problem.
Yeah, let me just understand. We'll go step by step. That's fine. So 10.7 billion has been rejected with allegations of fraud. Can you tell us, break it down by facilities, like just the way you've done in terms of public, private, faith-based?
So fantastic. So when it comes to fraud, I want us to all understand the insurance industry, particularly medical insurance industry, has a rate of almost 20 to 30% of fraud globally. Let that sink in, Yvonne. Globally, not Kenya, not Uganda.
All right.
No, it's important because
Dr.
I'm coming to your answer.
Yes, I would like us to also just move it along. So out of the 10.7, let's just answer the question.
Yes.
Please break it down.
Yes.
How much of this was from public facilities, from faith-based, and from private?
So, Yvonne, I'll come
before we
to
get
that.
to the global statistics.
No. But global is important.
That's fine. We can set the context
now.
After. The whole idea of how that verification process is done is a topic on its own, and we will come to that.
Okay.
I'd just like us to go step by step first. This 10.7, could you give us the breakdown? We will come back and understand the verification process.
So, out of the 10.7 billion, I do not have figures that I'll give you right now that public facilities is X amount, FBO is Y amount, private is Y amount, because this is a continuous process. For example, as the team has been doing their claims verification today, we actually have a new set of 80 facilities who've been discovered to be fraudulent, and we'll be releasing that this Friday.
Okay, is this separate from the 10.6? Because I just want to understand that.
Yeah. So every time a claim is lodged, every claim paying season, we actually determine a claim that is fraudulent.
We'll get to those ones. Yes. I understand it's a dynamic situation that evolves.
So now,
can we just speak about the 10.7 that you talked about?
Yes. And let me break it down for you. You've asked me how much is due to or attributable to the private sector. I can tell you the number of facilities, but I wouldn't be able to tell you in proportions.
Okay, how many facilities?
Right? So right now we've submitted a list to DCI of 1,118 facilities that are under investigation. 1,118 facilities.
Okay.
Out of that list, 85 of those facilities have been blatantly determined to be fraudulent, and there's a criminal investigation that's going through the justice system. Out of those facilities, we have about 100 and I think it should be 51, and I can always give you a written statement with these figures later, of facilities who also have been determined to have fraudulent claims, and particularly trading in tiers of care which are not appropriate to their licensure.
Okay.
Right? And so all these facilities have been submitted to the DCI. I'll come back, or I'll share with you a statement on what the proportions look like by ownership. That we can do later.
And can you tell us the progress of the investigations of the DCI?
The progress is underway. Teams have been able to visit different facilities. Just today, I got feedback from that team that they've gone to different parts of the country. The 85 facilities I've talked about have been visited. They've gone in, they've looked at their files, they're investigating, and they should be able to share with us a report within the next 10 days.
Okay, some of the service providers have raised concerns about data privacy for patients, particularly from the DCI, who are then, going in and seeking, doctors' notes, as well as private patient information. In what way are you preventing, patient, or rather upholding patient confidentiality in an investigation such as this? Because there is a huge concern around that.
So we've actually received that feedback from providers in two manners. Some providers have come in to say, no, we don't want to attach our theatre notes to your claims because that's infringing on patient privacy. One, our act actually allows SHA to be able to engage with patient data, and patients do actually give consent by visiting the facility and by filling in claimant forms to be able to have SHA access that data.
But that does not extend to the DCI,
No. When it comes to our contracts implementation, DCI actually has that in our law. If you do commit a fraudulent claim and submit into SHA, there are actually contractual terms that govern what SHA would do, including fines, including criminal prosecution. That's actually in the Act. Now, the data that then DCI are able to have is then governed by the data protection of our Act, as well as the DHA Act that actually protects that patient data.
Okay.
And so it's all protected. It's all within the law. No data will be shared. And remember, DCI have been doing these investigations years back, even during NHIF days, DCI was still very active investigating. There's no way, and I want us to be very clear, there's no way we will know if this claim is legitimate if we are not able to assess the claim and determine that the surgery took place, that the birth or the delivery took place. How would SHA pay? On trust? Is that what we'd be doing? Paying on trust that the doctor did the procedure? We can't. And no insurance company does that globally.
One quick question before we take a break, because you say SHA is working. The service providers seem to hold a different view.
True.
Let's talk about RUPA, which is the Rural Private Health Association practitioners. They have a countdown. By Friday, they say they will be suspending SHA services. They're asking you to speak with them. They're saying you are not talking to them. They have many facilities under this umbrella association. Could this be a potential public health access crisis? And what are you doing about it?
That's a really good question, and it's embarrassing when they say that we're not speaking with them, because just in the last week, I've actually met the Association of Private Hospitals in the hospital, in the SHA building, to be able to discuss provider issues and what they're facing. Yvonne, it's almost, sacrilege for a provider to decide to pull out of a contract that they've gotten into SHA and not offer services into Kenya. Our contract actually states very clearly that if a provider backs out from the contract and rejects a Kenyan from visiting their facility, that's actually a contractual flaw.
So are there calls valid? No, we'll get to the contract.
Wait, you've asked me, are we engaging with RUFA?
Are you?
And the answer is we are engaging with all providers and all hospitals, because our contracts, Yvonne, the contracts I have in my system are with specific hospitals. There's no hospital that has come in to SHA and has been turned away or not engaged. And that's important for us to note. Number two, every provider in the country has a right to exercise their contract and to decide if they want to offer service or not. If they withdraw service from Kenyans, then that's a move that they've made in terms of their contracts. And then SHA would have to then withdraw engagement with them.
All right, okay.
Yes.
As we go to a break, again, 6.5 billion is collected on average?
Yes.
For the last 11 months?
Every month. Well, in the beginning, as we were trying to, bring in Kenyans, the collections were not as high as 6.5 billion. By the time we got to February, March, April, they stabilized around 6 billion. And I was just sharing with the governor from Murang'a, we are close to hitting 8 billion in collections.
So from March to date is how many months? March, April, May, June,
April, May, June, July,
August.
So
that's
August
6
has just come to an end. So in August, our collections are above 7 billion.
So 6.5, if we did that times 7, right, that would be 45.5 billion.
More.
At least, at least for these last... So where would you put it at?
I would say probably above, I'll check for you right now as you get into your break, but above 50 billion, which is remarkable.
Okay, because an average of 6.5 billion for 11 months is more than 50 billion.
Exactly. I'll just pull it out for you, Yvonne, shortly.
Okay.
Right now.
We'll come back.
Yeah.
We have lots to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about.
Let's take a break. Yeah. When we come back, we'll also be speaking with the CEO of the Digital Health Authority to get an understanding of how they both work and the services that they are providing to Kenyans. Welcome back after the break. So let's take that break now. Where do we take it? Here or there? There we are. There we are. So let's take that break now. Back in a moment with some more news, and then we're back with this discussion on access to health services via SHA. We tell you why experts are calling for urgent action as Kenya grapples with a growing e-waste crisis.
Business News, brought to you by Safaricom Business.
Tukitaka kugrow zaidi, we choose partners with solutions that get us there. You could also power your progress. Join Safaricom Business today. Power your progress at business.safaricom.co.ke.
All right, Standard Chartered Bank Kenya is warning investors to expect a significant drop in its earnings this year. The lender says this is because it is setting aside billions of shillings to settle a long-running pension dispute with hundreds of its employees, former employees. Here's Jasmine Wamboe with that story.
In a profit warning dated September 15th, the Standard Chartered projects that its net earnings for the year ending December will fall by at least 25% compared to last year. The lender has linked the decline to a 7 billion shillings pension obligation owed to 629 former staffers. This follows a ruling by the Retirement Benefits Appeals Tribunal that was later upheld by the Supreme Court. The heart of the dispute goes back to 1999 when the bank switched its pension plan. It moved from a defined benefit scheme which guarantees a specific payout based on salary and years of service to a defined contribution plan where the final amount paid to pensioners is not guaranteed and depends on investment returns. Now, retirees, after a 16-year legal battle, have successfully argued that this change unlawfully reduced their entitled lump sum payments. Left without choice, the bank has started the settlement process, directing the claimants or their beneficiaries to present documents at its Nairobi offices for verification and final payment. The payout comes against a backdrop of weaker earnings. In the first half of 2025, Standard Chartered posted a 21% drop in profits to 8 billion shillings, weighed down by lower income from both interest and non-interest streams. This even as the bank maintains it is adequately capitalized to settle the multi-billion shilling claim. Jasmine Wambui, Citizen TV.
Kenya's mounting electronic waste crisis is being described as a ticking time bomb that must be urgently addressed. This was the message from experts and stakeholders gathered at the country's first ever Waste, Electrical and Electronic Equipment Innovation Summit. The forum brought together government officials, private sector players and international partners to explore practical solutions to the growing challenge. Dennis Otieno reports.
Policymakers, tech firms and innovators gathered in Nairobi with a single purpose: to confront Kenya's e-waste challenge head-on. Experts say electronic waste is one of the fastest growing waste streams in the country, and tackling it demands urgent action from all stakeholders.
It is a ticking time bomb, and so as a country we really need to ensure that we are coming up with mechanism. And that's why as EPROC we are here to ensure that actually we are having a more circular method or approach to manage the post-consumer e-waste.
The summit is also shining a spotlight on the country's new extended producer responsibility regulations, which make manufacturers and importers directly accountable for the waste generated by their products.
Anybody who introduces a product in the market, you take care of it until its end of life.
Although the regulations have faced court challenges, NEMA insists the country needs a policy shift to streamline e-waste management.
We recognize that the informal sector collects more electronic waste than the formal sector. The government has come up with laws, and these laws have pronounced themselves that if you are going to handle e-waste, you should be licensed by NEMA.
Organizers say the forum is also about solutions, from youth-led recycling startups to major partnerships between Kenya and countries such as Germany, aimed at building a stronger circular economy and creating jobs from discarded gadgets. Kenya produces an estimated 53,000 metric tons of electronic waste every year, yet only a fraction of this is properly recycled. Experts warn that failing to act now poses not just an environmental crisis, but a growing health concern.
But of course, there's also the issue of the e-waste that's already been leaked into the environment that has a lot of negative effects on health and environment and climate. So I think it's never late. I think it's a really good moment to get started.
The inaugural summit ended with stakeholders pledging to turn policy into practical action for a cleaner and more sustainable future. Dennis Otieno, Citizen TV.
A report by the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, now shows that 42 million people in the 6 member states are staring at an acute food shortage in the coming days. According to the report, the region continues to face multiple shocks, ranging from extreme weather patterns such as flooding and drought, war, as well as microeconomic issues and debt. According to the report, over 1.8 million people in Kenya's arid and semi-arid areas are among those at risk of food shortage. Here's Jimmy Mbogo with more.
Kenya is set to receive below average rains in the last quarter of the year. This could see low food crop production, with a report from the Intergovernmental Authority projecting that the low rainfall in the country could increase the number of Kenyans at risk of acute food shortage from the current 1.8 million to 2.1 million by early 2026. According to the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Assaults and Regional Development, to avert this, the government will require over 4 billion shillings to caution the vulnerable population, largely in eastern and northern parts of the country.
42 million people, or 29% of the analyzed population, face high levels of acute food insecurity in 2025. In Kenya, specifically in the arid and semi-arid lands, between October 2025 and January 2026, however, the number is expected to rise to 2.1 million.
We have alerted our institutions. The State Department of Special Programs is on standby to provide any Kenyan affected by drought, any Kenyan affected by food shortage. More than 4 billion shillings will be required to take care of that food shortage.
Additionally, the report shows that in the region, 11.4 million children are malnourished, out of which 3.1 million require life-saving treatment. The data underscoring the Horn of Africa's unenviable ranking as the global epicenter of malnutrition, with IGAD warning that the region is not making sufficient progress despite years of pledges and intervention, even as experts call for a shift away from aid dependency.
These statistics are not just abstract data, but they represent the lives of people living amongst us. The figures and the evidence we have just shared show that we are not on track to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition by 2030.
The 7th edition of the IGAD Regional Focus of the Global Report on Food Crisis continues to provide essential information, analysis, and insights to collectively address the causes and consequences of escalating acute food insecurity and malnutrition in the region, with the hope that policy shapers will take advantage of the actionable data to enhance their efforts in making their country's food secure. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Business News brought to you by Safaricom Business.
Tukitaka kugrow zaidi, we choose partners with solutions that get us there. You could also power your progress. Join Safaricom Business today. Power your progress at business.safaricom.co.ke.
Now, as Kenyans celebrate gold number 3 from Faith Kipyegon, Paris Jepchirchir, who won Kenya's first gold medal in the women's marathon, is back in the country with the whole women's marathon team, just 3 days after her historic win in Tokyo. Jepchirchir got a nice surprise while airborne, with the airline giving her a special treat while flying from Doha to Nairobi. She made history by winning the women's marathon gold twice in Japan. She first won the 2020 Tokyo Olympic gold in Sapporo in 2021, and 4 years later she was back in Japan, this time on the streets of Tokyo, for Kenya's first gold medal at the World Athletics Championships. She was received at the airport by government and Athletics Kenya officials, as well as family and friends. Halfway through the championships in Japan, Kenya now has 3 gold, 1 silver and 1 bronze.
Congratulations on behalf of Qatar Airways. We are very honored to have you, and you have done a fantastic job getting a gold medal for the marathon.
Now, football as a sport has continued to unify people from different backgrounds in the country. Northeastern region is now following the same path of using the sport for both economic and social reasons. Through the Kenya Academy of Sports, together with the Principal Secretary, State Department for Special Programs, conducted a football tournament to scout and nurture untapped talents in the area. Lukman Mahmood was in Mandera County and filed the following report.
Despite the poor state of the football pitches here, the youth still have a dream of one day representing their country in an international tournament in different categories. The PS Ismail Madey tournament, in conjunction with Kenya Academy of Sports, has now brought renewed hope for the youth in the whole of the northeastern region.
We are going and comping the entire country. We will not leave any county or any sub-county behind. As we realize, the vision of the academy is basically to establish branches across the country. You are aware of the constituent sports academies they were establishing.
Matches were held in all 6 constituencies of the larger Mandera County in 2 phases to keep the youth busy and away from vices.
Niende kwa Ministry ya Sports mali nilikuwa zamani, tuulize stadium tutengeneze hapa Ramu. Vijana mutumie football, mutumie sport, kuleta community pamoja.
FKF officials in Mandera have also called on their national office to conduct coaches and referees training in the region to help raise the football standards.
To give us at least the referee and the coaches training, which we have been lacking. I think the last time we held such a training was in 2014, and Mandera as a county we need one, whereby we want to train all our coaches and all our referees.
Apart from winners from Lafay, Mandera North and Mandera East, a number of players were selected to join a holiday camp to be hosted in Nairobi later this year. Apart from growing talents, football in Northeastern is being used to bring peace among the communities here. Lukman Mahmood, Citizen TV, Mandera County.
The Safaricom Chapadimba All-Star teams are back in the country after a successful 1-week training camp in Huesca, Spain. The team of 12 boys and 12 girls traveled back in 2 groups, with the boys arriving in the morning and the girls in the afternoon. The girls' team that flew from Madrid had the opportunity to visit the Kenyan embassy there, where they were hosted to afternoon tea by Kenya's ambassador to Spain, Her Excellency Narimes Oli Sain. With the new cooperation between Kenya and Spain in sports, the ambassador called on sports federations to take advantage and borrow a leaf from Spain, who have very good sports structures in football, basketball and now athletics. She also promised to give her support to the team if they ever go back to Spain, as well as any other team that will have a development program in the country. With the Chapadimba All-Stars teams back in the country, plans are now underway to launch Season 5 before the end of the year. Now, the UEFA Champions League action is back on tonight with 6 matches lined up on match day 1. Currently playing, Tottenham Hotspur hosting Spanish side Villarreal with just 20 minutes in. The score is 1-0. The big clash of the night in Turin, currently also ongoing, 20 minutes in. Juventus with Borussia Dortmund of Germany. That's still 0-0 at this time. Meanwhile, Al Ahly began the defense of their Asia Club Champions League elite title with a come-from-behind 4-2 win over PFC Nasaf in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, having trailed at 2-0 at halftime after a brace from Hussein Norchaev. The defending champions struck back with a double of their own through Enzo Milot before Riyad Mahrez struck in stoppage time. Mohamed Suleiman then added a late fourth with the last kickoff of the game. I'm told in an earlier match with the Champions League, Arsenal beat Athletic Bilbao 2-0. That's it for the news, but our conversation continues on SHA. Just what is going on there? All your questions answered tonight. We've already spoken a little bit with Dr. Masi Mwangangi from the Social Health Authority. Now joining us in the conversation right after this break is Anthony Lenayara, who's the CEO of the Digital Health Agency. Your questions, the hashtag is The Explainer at Citizen TV Kenya, at Yvonne Okwara, when we come back from this break.